So for your seasoning mix for beef, you want to keep your seasoning simple because you're paying for a good piece of meat. When I picked out the flat iron steak, one of the things I look for in any cut of meat is marbling. Marbling is when you can see the veins of fat evenly distributed through the meat. That makes it tender, and it also has a flavor, great flavor going through. So that's something to look for when you're picking out steaks. Secondly, back to the seasoning, you want to keep your seasoning simple because you want to taste the flavor of the meat. When you're buying it, it's basically an investment. It's typically expensive per pound, especially versus other types of protein. So you don't want to cover that up with overpowering seasoning. What I'm using today is a mixture of fresh ground black peppercorns, caraway seeds that have been ground up, and I'm using one of my preferences, smoked sea salt, for when I'm grilling. For your seasonings, the smoked sea salt is a specialty salt, so that tends to be a little bit more expensive. Not a necessity, once again, just my preference. When you're buying seasoning, a way of saving money, when you're buying peppercorns and caraway seeds, what I do is, instead of going to a big box supermarket, I tend to go to an East Indian or an ethnic store. One that caters to restaurants and so forth is even better. Why? It's much cheaper, and they move their product. So you don't have to worry about things sitting on shelves for an indefinite amount of time, and once again, it saves you money. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing your shopping. Also, for the marinade for the meat, I'm using a balsamic essence vinaigrette. So balsamic essence is simply balsamic vinegar reduced down by at least 30%. It gets to be a little bit syrupy, I guess is the best way to put the consistency, especially once it's cooled down. Why? Balsamic vinegar is, one, a natural flavor enhancer. Two, when you reduce it down to an essence, the flavor is a little bit sweeter, and it's a little bit more pungent. So you can go lightly on it, but it adds an awesome amount of flavor to your meat. And if you use it as a salad dressing, which I do, so now you're getting more uses out of it, and it also is a great flavor enhancer, not just for meat, but like if I make a salsa, let's say, sometimes you make salsa and the tomatoes aren't necessarily ripe and the flavors don't necessarily have a big punch to it. You can add just a touch of balsamic vinegar or a touch of the essence, stir it in, and it makes those flavors wake up. So that's something to keep in mind also when you're thinking of making a marinade for meat, and also just another use for balsamic vinegar.